Well, I can tell you that businesses are definitely struggling and many are closing their doors. Just take a look at this place. The tables are empty. They've had one customer all evening long, and I'm told this is becoming the new normal.
Americans did not suddenly become poor. Restaurant prices are what pushed everything beyond all reasonable limits. You heard that right. An order of fries costs $8. A basic burger costs $18. Dinner for two costs more than $300. And those are some of the more reasonable prices. This is not Paris. It is not some fancy restaurant in the middle of Manhattan either. This is America, a country that once took pride in food being fast, cheap, and available on every corner. But now menus keep getting more expensive, tables keep getting emptier, and customers are disappearing. What happened? Why are even people with steady incomes starting to feel like dinner is no longer worth the money? Why is mass-produced, factory-made food that gets reheated on site being sold for more than fresh food? Today we are going to expose the truths that are driving customers away, along with the tricks restaurants have used for decades to reach into your wallet. Watch this video all the way through. Thousands of customers have already woken up and walked away, and I do not want you to be the next victim. Just a few years ago, going out for dinner was a small pleasure after a long, exhausting week at work. It was filling enough and cheap enough that working people did not have to check their bank accounts before ordering, but by 2026, that agreement seemed to have expired without anyone telling the customer. Eating out had become a financial decision. What makes many Americans the angriest is not just that prices have gone up, but that everything has become so unreasonable that it is hard to accept.
Has Chipotle lost its mind? My son and I just got done at the gym with a workout. We went into Chipotle. We got 2 bowls and 2 drinks. And granted, we did get double meat, but we didn't get chips. We didn't get guac. $52.64 for 2 bowls and 2 drinks at Chipotle. This used to be like $11 for a burrito bowl. I know I saw a story the other day about them on the news where the CEO was saying that their stock was down 15% because Gen Z wasn't eating out anymore. It's not because Gen Z's not eating out anymore. It's because you guys have lost your damn minds. Where you guys are charging people over $25 to get a burrito bowl of cheap Mexican food and a regular drink, not even a biggie drink. It's like a medium. Like, how in the world do you expect people to keep coming in when you've jacked your prices over 3 times what they've been just since the start of COVID? This is 100% your fault that your stock is down 15%, because you guys have raised your prices way past the point where regular people are willing to pay them. And until your prices come down, your business is going to keep sinking. I don't know what they're thinking, but am I crazy here that $52 for 2 bowls and 2 drinks is nuts?
Did I hear that right? $52.64 for 2 meals and 2 drinks. Yes, the father and son added extra meat, but we are still talking about Chipotle, where customers stand in line, choose their own ingredients, and carry their own food to the table. This is not even a special night out. There are no appetizers, no wine, and definitely no violinist standing beside the table. More than $26 per person. In a boardroom, they probably call that increasing the average value per customer. In the parking lot, Americans call it something much simpler: lunch is too expensive. And Chipotle is not alone. Breakfast for 2 at Denny's can cost more than $62, including the tip. A meal at Jersey Mike's with a sandwich, a drink, and chips costs around $18. 8 pieces of chicken with a little rice cost $15. Add DoorDash and a burrito with nachos can pass the $40 mark. I wish what I just read had only been a dream last night.
I can't even believe this.
$10 Jimmy John's sandwich.
Oh, no way. No fucking way. Go get me my money back. There's no way. Dylan.
Just call into their corporate line. They're not gonna go give you your money back.
I'm appalled. Fine, I'll eat it. But I'm very upset about this.
A $10 sandwich is not automatically unreasonable, but that price comes with a promise the customer should get a filling lunch. In the video, the woman opens the sandwich, sees the thin layer of filling, and immediately asks for her money back. I understand that reaction. The sandwich looks like it is on a strict budget while the bill is clearly living very comfortably. This is the real problem. People are not just complaining that prices are higher, they are saying everything is becoming less and less worth the money. Smaller portions, more inconsistent quality, customers have to place their own orders, get their own drinks, clear their own tables, and sometimes even download an app and hunt for deals just to pay what used to be considered a normal price. The The consequences are already starting to show. People are eating out less often, skipping drinks, sharing meals, cooking at home, or simply not coming back. And when customer traffic drops, restaurants raise prices again to cover their costs. Those higher prices push even more customers away. It is a vicious cycle where customers cannot afford to eat and businesses do not have enough customers to survive. But the menu price is only the first number. By the time taxes, tips, delivery fees, service fees, and charges with names that sound like they were invented by a consulting firm show up, a $20 meal can turn into a completely different bill. Have you ever ordered a meal that cost around $20 only to see the bill come out close to $40 when it was time to pay? Where did the rest of that money come from? Was it inside the sandwich in the paper bag, or was it created somewhere between the place order button and the pay button? The price on the menu is becoming less and less like the real price of the meal. It is only the first number. Then comes the higher price on the app, the delivery fee, the service fee, taxes, and the tip. Each charge may not look that large on its own, but together they can turn an ordinary dinner into a financial decision that requires serious thought. And the most important part is that customers usually do not see the full amount until they have already chosen their food, entered their address, and nearly completed the payment. Very transparent. It is just that transparency always likes to show up at the last minute. Look at this first example. It is the same food from the same restaurant, but simply changing from pickup to delivery makes the price start changing before the delivery fee even appears.
I had Chick-fil-A the other day, and I'm hungry, so I wanted it delivered. I'm lazy. $9.55. Switch it over just to delivery. $12.39 for the same fucking sandwich. The same fucking sandwich. That doesn't even include the service fees and delivery fee. Burger King. $10.09 for the Whopper. Switch it to delivery. $12.40 for the same fucking meal. Why are they charging more per item when they already charge more for fucking delivery, service, and we have to tip? I don't get it. Needless to say, I just sent my husband to pick it up because I'm not doing that shit no more.
In the video, she explains that the same Chick-fil-A meal goes from $9.55 to $12.39 when she switches to delivery. A Whopper meal goes from $10.09 to $12.40, and remember, that is only the price of the food. The delivery fee has not appeared yet. The service fee has not appeared yet. Taxes have not appeared yet. The driver's tip has not appeared yet either. The sandwich has already gone up in price before it even starts the trip. Did I hear that right? Customers pay extra for delivery, then pay extra inside the price of the food, and then keep paying more fees so the food can actually be delivered. The American economy really is fair. Everybody gets a chance to take a little more from you. To be fair, many restaurants have to pay commissions to the platform, so they raise prices on the app to cover those costs. But what customers see is very simple: one meal, two prices, and then 3 more layers of fees at the end. At that point, are customers paying for convenience, or are they paying several times for the same trip from the kitchen to their front door?
Some people are getting really heated about this. So I'm going to try to explain again what happened from what I understand. It looks like the business ran up other people's food on my tab. So when I got my check on that digital thing, the suggested amount for the tip is based on the total tab, including food that's not mine. When I looked at the receipt that they texted me, it shows all this food being ordered. That's not mine. And it also has somebody else's credit card information. And then it's comped. It doesn't say comp, it actually says credit. And it says $3 $25 credit and I think a $15 one. This is from the restaurant that's crediting the meals that weren't mine. Again, I don't know who these people were that ordered this food. I have nothing to do with them. I have a little party of 4. That's it. So not only that, but the tax is for the total bill amount, not just for my little portion. So not only are you paying a higher tax, not only are you paying or being suggested a higher tip, you're also paying a higher tax. And then they're expecting you to tip after the tax for the entire bill, that most of it was not mine. Another server here said that they do this, but she didn't know that the suggested tip is for the entire bill. So this is a lesson for her because she was doing this. She was running everyone's tab on one bill and then giving the bill to the patron and then deducting it, just like I mentioned before. But yeah, you servers need to know that this is causing us to have a suggested tip that's way higher. And again, taxes that are way higher. If someone's drinking and unaware of what's going on, click, 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 they're paying 50% for their little meal. This should not be allowed. This should not be happening.
Okay, according to what she said, Kim's bill was $60.50, but the screen said an 18% tip came to $29.88. Sorry, I wish this math had only appeared in a dream last night. 18% of $60.50 is only about $10.89. Nearly $30 is not 18%, it is almost half the bill. Kim later discovered that the system had added another customer's food to her bill and then removed it with a credit. The total had been corrected, but the suggested tip was still based on the old amount. This could have been a system error, not necessarily a conspiracy, but customers are not responsible for understanding the restaurant's software structure. If the screen says 18%, the number should be 18%. And this is the bigger issue. Food prices on the app may be higher than prices at the counter. A service charge is not always a tip, and suggested tip amounts may be calculated using taxes, fees, or even an incorrect total. Dinner used to be a time when Americans could relax. Now dessert ends and a small audit begins. But maybe customers would accept that bill more easily if the food were actually fresh, special, and memorable. There is just one problem. More and more people are discovering that they are paying restaurant prices for the same frozen food, with only the plate and the menu description being different. Have you ever eaten at two completely different restaurants, but the desserts tasted suspiciously identical? The same warm chocolate cake, the same melted filling pouring out, the same scoop of ice cream sitting beside it as if the chef had just invented winter. Maybe we are not eating at two different restaurants. Maybe we are just eating two cakes that came out of the same freezer box.
I just went to Tropical Smoothie and bought an acai bowl. And the acai is frozen, rock solid, all of it. So I got in my car and I was like, okay, so I go in there and the girl's like laughing and I was like, hey, so like it's frozen. And she was like, yeah, that's how it comes. That's how all of them come. And so then I was like, so how do I eat it? And she goes, oh, well, you have to wait 15 to 25 minutes for it to thaw. And I looked at her and I go, right. Can a Tropical Smoothie worker verify this for me?
This woman receives an acai bowl that is frozen so solid that the spoon can barely get through it. When she goes back and asks about it, the employee tells her to wait about 15 to 25 minutes for it to thaw on its own. Did I hear that right? Did she just buy food, or did she just receive an on-site defrosting assignment? To be fair, acai needs to be kept cold. Pre-portioned servings also help stores serve customers faster during busy hours. But the food handed to a customer should be ready to eat when it is served. If I have to sit there and watch my food slowly thaw after I've already paid, I can do the same thing in front of my freezer at home without putting on nice clothes. And this is not just about one acai bowl.
Restaurants. And part of the reason why this is because most restaurants don't actually create their own desserts. Instead, they get it from places like Costco or Restaurant Depot. And in a place like Restaurant Depot that's dedicated to restaurant owners, you can buy a pack of 12 chocolate lava cakes for roughly $30. And this means that for many restaurants, there's no point of baking your own desserts. And
this man explains that many restaurants do not make their own desserts. They buy cheesecakes, chocolate lava cakes, and other foods that freeze well from large suppliers, then reheat them, add ice cream, sprinkle on a little sugar, and bring them to the table. So sometimes the secret behind a restaurant's signature dessert is sitting in a box with 11 identical ones. I am not against prepared food. Not every kitchen has a baker, enough workers, or enough space to make everything from scratch. Large distributors also sell fresh ingredients, not just frozen food, but the problem begins when a cake from a warehouse gets presented like an old family recipe, then sold at a price that makes customers think someone spent the entire afternoon in the kitchen making it just for them. How long has this been going on? Long enough that stories about macaroni and cheese in freezer bags store-bought pies and appetizers that only need to be reheated no longer surprise many people. And when will it end? Probably on the day rent goes down, restaurants have extra workers, customers are willing to wait longer, and corporations suddenly decide profits are no longer important. In other words, maybe right after Washington finishes everything on time. I remember in America where a sandwich covered nearly the entire plate potatoes were cut in the kitchen and every restaurant had its own flavor. You could close your eyes and still know where you were eating. Today, sometimes you have to look at the logo on the receipt to figure out which restaurant you just walked out of. Please take me back to that America. A place where the portions were big enough, the food was still hot, and the dessert did not have 11 identical siblings sitting in the freezer. But I know that is almost impossible, and prepared food is only part of the story. The next question is much more uncomfortable. Under what conditions are those foods being stored, reheated, and served? An expensive meal is already frustrating enough. An expensive meal prepared on dirty concrete is no longer service, it is an insult. Customers see clean tables and chairs, nice lighting, and food arranged neatly on the plate. But what determines whether dinner is safe is behind a door they are not allowed to walk through. And sometimes all it takes is a phone recording from above for that entire professional image to fall apart instantly. I watched this clip several times to make sure I was not seeing things. The man is slamming blocks of frozen beef ribs onto pieces of cardboard laid out on the parking lot ground. Some pieces bounce off and touch the concrete directly. Maybe the operations manual calls this step separating meat with local infrastructure. The employees later told inspectors that the contaminated meat had been thrown away and was not served to customers, but the inspection at Faux Love and Mille Patas did not stop with the video. Inspectors also found a lack of sanitizing solution, improper hand washing raw food, stored on the floor, and signs of insects. The restaurant was temporarily closed, then allowed to reopen after the major violations were corrected. One employee mistake could be an isolated incident, but when several procedures have problems at the same time, the story becomes about management. Who checks the kitchen? Who assigns cleaning duties? And why was everything only handled after the video went viral? The person who posted this claims to have worked at 6 IHOP locations and showed images of equipment that appeared to have mold-spoiled produce, dirty storage areas, and pancake batter kept longer than procedures allowed. This is one person's account with no independent inspection report attached, so it cannot be used to conclude that every IHOP location is like this. Some managers in the comments also said their locations had completely different standards. But customers see the same logo. They do not know whether today's cleanliness standards depend on company-wide rules or on whichever manager happens to be working that shift. And here is the most important question: if quality is worse, service is worse, and cleanliness is not guaranteed either, what exactly are customers paying for? They are not only paying for ingredients, they are paying for the work that goes into preparing the food, the convenience, and the trust that the meal will not make them call a doctor the next day. Staff shortages and busy hours may explain why employees are exhausted, but they cannot become a free pass. If a restaurant does not have enough workers to sell food and keep it safe at the same time, then the business is operating beyond what it can properly control. The irony is that while customers are losing trust, many restaurants are going online and begging the community to come back. And that brings us to the next contradiction: restaurants are running out of money, but customers are too. There is a very sad moment when a restaurant stops advertising its food and has to go online to prove that it deserves to stay open. No more pictures of hot food, no more weekend specials. Now the message is simply, please come back before we have to close. The Wing Suite is a family-owned restaurant in Lawrenceville, Georgia that has been open for 8 years. When rent, utilities, and chicken prices pushed the business close to shutting down, the owner's daughter posted a video asking people what they would do if the person about to lose her business were their own mother. The video passed 1 million views. Customers started showing up. Some drove more than 40 minutes. A fundraiser also brought in tens of thousands of dollars to help cover wages, food, and operating costs. I do not think any mother opens a restaurant dreaming that one day her daughter will have to cry on TikTok to save it. But this is America in 2026. It looks like the algorithm is becoming the most effective small business relief program in the country. Washington must be relieved that someone finally agreed to take the shift. That support deserves appreciation. It gave the family more time and showed that the community still cares. But a viral video is not a business model. Today, customers crowd the entrance because they feel emotional. Next month, the rent will still arrive on time, and suppliers definitely will not accept likes as payment. And Georgia is not an isolated case. In Richmond, several independent restaurants and bakeries, including Gold Lion Community Cafe, Cobra Burger, Fat Rabbit Bakery, and Smashed RVA, publicly asked local residents to come back and support them. Those appeals helped some places draw crowds or sell out for a short time, but the long-term problem remained unchanged. The owner of Fat Rabbit described the situation as a perfect storm. Summer was already slow, the weather was unfavorable, food and labor cost more, and people were cutting non-essential spending. Electric bills do not go down because the restaurant is empty, rent does not get smaller because customers are cooking at home. Food does not stop spoiling just because people have no money left at the end of the month, but customers also have a very direct answer. We are out of money too. Restaurants used to say that if you could not afford to tip, you should stay home. Now, people really are staying home. I do not eat out anymore, and I do not miss it. This is not a rebellion against local restaurants. People do not want to see their favorite places close. They just cannot save every business with whatever money is left after rent, insurance, gas, and groceries. One side cannot keep selling at the old prices. The other side cannot keep buying at the new prices. And when both sellers and buyers pull back, eating out starts disappearing from normal life. It becomes a special occasion, a reward after payday, or an expense people have to think about for several days. Restaurants are running out of money, but customers are too, and that is when eating out starts becoming a luxury. Eating out used to be a very normal part of American life. You did not need a birthday, an anniversary, or payday. A family could stop at a restaurant after work, order a few simple meals, and go home without feeling like they had just made a serious financial decision. Today, just opening the menu makes many people start calculating like they are reviewing a mortgage application. And when the bill rises faster than income, Americans return to the place they once tried to avoid because they were busy their own kitchen. During the lockdowns, many people had to learn how to cook. At first, it may have been nothing more than eggs, noodles, a sandwich, or a piece of meat cooked a little too long. But then they discovered something the restaurant industry did not enjoy hearing: home-cooked food sometimes tastes better, costs less, and at least they know exactly what went into the pan. No service fee, no screen asking for a 25% tip, no surprise side dish charged separately, and most importantly, nobody brings out a portion smaller than the advertisement and explains that it is modern presentation. Look at the simplest comparison. A Costco rotisserie chicken costs about $5 to $6. It can feed several people, work for dinner, go into sandwiches the next day, and may even leave enough for soup. Meanwhile, one individual fast food meal can get close to $20. Did I hear that right? A whole chicken costs less than a few pieces of chicken fries and a soda. This is no longer a debate between convenience and saving money. This is when customers look at the bill and realize convenience is charging fees like a corporate lawyer. People who still want to eat out are changing their strategy too. They avoid expensive chains, look for local restaurants, search for lunch specials, or choose places that actually provide value. A family-owned shop may sell a high-quality sandwich for about the same price as Subway. Chili's has meal deals that make some fast food meals look so expensive that it is hard to explain. That does not mean local restaurants are always cheaper, or that Chili's is always the best choice. Prices still depend on the state, the city, rent, taxes, and labor costs. A $12 meal in a small town can become $18 in Florida, New York, or the Bay Area. But customers have started asking the right question: what am I getting for the same amount of money? If they have to pay close to $20, they want a meal that is large enough, has obvious quality, and comes with real service, not a smaller sandwich, fewer fries, and a reminder to download an app so they can be treated like loyal customers. Couples and families are also cutting back right at the table. No more two separate entrees. One person orders an entree and the other chooses an appetizer. Two people share one meal. Drinks get dropped, dessert disappears. Children are told to eat before leaving home or choose the cheapest item. At first, that may sound like smart budgeting, but when millions of families do the same thing, it shows that eating out is losing its place as an ordinary part of life. Something that once belonged to working class and middle class life is slowly becoming a special occasion. People no longer ask, "Where should we eat tonight?" They ask, "Can we afford to eat out this month?" And that is the most troubling change. America has not run out of restaurants. Americans have not completely stopped eating out either. But the ability to walk into a restaurant without worrying about the bill is slowly disappearing. Eating out still exists, it is just that more and more people have to stand outside and look in. Restaurant prices are rising faster than the feeling of quality. Customers pay more, but portions are smaller. Service is more limited, and food is becoming harder to tell apart from one chain to another. When that gap continues for too long, the problem is no longer one expensive bill. The problem is that trust is gone. Many businesses still depend on habit convenience, craveable food apps, promotions, and little games that keep customers coming back. That can work when people still have extra money. But when rent, insurance, groceries, and gas have already taken almost the entire budget, a burger cannot keep winning forever with reward points. Customers are responding very clearly, cooking at home, sharing meals, hunting for deals, skipping drinks, and eating out less often. They do not need to organize a protest. They only need to stop walking through the door. And this is what restaurants need to understand. Prices will not go down just because customers complain online. Businesses only change when consumers actually stop buying. In the end, the bill is more powerful than any advertisement.